What's going on, guys? El Tiburon here, aka Retro Tiburon, with my games I beat in 2023 video. With me, I've got a little buddy. If you watch my gaming live streams, my little companion right here, Tigga Wigga right here, Tigger right here. Say hi, Tigger. Over there, get the camera. Never mind. Shout out to Legend of Leo YouTube channel. I got a dog too, Legend of Leo. Yeah, so let's we're gonna get right into it. But first, even though I've cut back a lot on my IPA consumption, alcohol consumption this past year, I do want to take a little swig of beer, swig of light beer for those other gamers out there. Swig of beer to all the gamers out there. And for another year in gaming. Tastes just like candy. Alright, let's get to the first game. First game I beat in January. Look, check this out. I write this down on paper, old school, on some paper. First game I beat January 5th, Disney's Aladdin on the Sega Genesis. Technically, I beat this on my OmegaAceG analog OmegaAceG. For those of you that don't know, it's pretty much Sega Genesis that can be hooked up to your HDMI through HDMI to your flat screens. So made by the company Analog, looks really crisp, really good on the flat screens. So I beat that game with an asterisk. What's the symbol for an asterisk? I don't know, but with an asterisk, because I did use the passcodes. I did not beat it from beginning to end in one straight shot. I would get to a certain distance in the game, die, use the passcode to get back to that stage. I beat this for the Omega Ace Challenge. My buddy Omega Ace over at the OmegaAceGaming channel, check him out. This is actually when I first met him, and he was doing this kind of like this challenge, for his giveaway he was doing. I think at that point he had hit 800 subscribers, I believe. So it was like a Disney challenge. So you could beat any Disney game. I was like one of 50 people that played the Disney Aladdin game. I think I was one of the only few that played it on the Genesis though and beat it. Yeah, really fun game. I always felt like this was a better game than the SNES counterpart. I never beat it growing up, and in playing it this year, it is a little bit difficult. I was having a hard time on this stage where you're like trying to run away from boulders. It's like a lava stage, and you're just running away from boulders, and you gotta have your timing right on the jumps, and you gotta be quick. So yeah, I had a really hard time with that stage, and I think when I got to, is his name Jafar, the final guy? Jafar, figuring out how to beat him, but like I said, I did beat it with a passcode, but the damn passcode's in the game, alright? You can use the passcode, so I'll still count it, but I will say with an asterisk I beat it. Next game I beat, Splatterhouse 2, and I actually do own this one physically, and I did play my physical cartridge of Splatterhouse 2. I also beat this on the OmegaAceG. Beat this one, yeah, and also in January, like 8 days after I beat Aladdin, I went through and beat this one. Splatterhouse 2. I mean, you want to talk about a tough game. Aladdin was tough, but nothing compared to Splatterhouse 2. The Splatterhouse games are games I always loved growing up, especially 2 and 3, because I had a Sega Genesis and I had played them on the Sega Genesis. I was always very intrigued by them because I'm a big Friday the 13th fan, and Rick, the protagonist from Splatterhouse, he's essentially Jason Voorhees. That's who he is. But when I used to play it as a kid, I did own these games as a kid. I don't think I could ever get very far. I think on Splatterhouse 2, maybe I got to the second stage, maybe? I never really got far. I just thought they were really cool because, you know, as a teenager, you get to see all these gore effects. You're hitting people with 2x4s and splatting them against the wall. You're knocking demons, goblins' heads off. You weren't seeing that stuff on the Super Nintendo. I'm sorry, you weren't seeing that stuff on Super Nintendo. You weren't even getting blood in the Mortal Kombat for the Super Nintendo. So having this on the Genesis as a kid, man, I always loved it. But I never really got far in the game, so I kind of made it a mission this year where I was like, I gotta beat these games, or I at least gotta give it a shot in trying to beat these games, because I've always thought they were cool, but I was never able to beat them. So yeah, I beat this one really, really tough, but I think even at a point I was like, man, F this game. I'm gonna sell this game once I beat it because I was getting frustrated. But you know, I'm glad I powered through and beat it. Let me see. I wrote some notes. I actually took some notes. I put that I like the music, a lot of gore. Oh yeah, the music's really cool. Cool visuals. It's a challenge for sure. And spooky. It's spooky. I love spooky stuff. Dislikes. I put hard as shit. Yeah, I had a hard time with this one, and I gave this one a rating of 3.25 out of 5. So I liked it. I wouldn't say, oh man, I loved it. I can't wait to get back to it, but I liked it enough to where I'm a proud owner of this game now. Now that I forgot to give a rating for Aladdin. Disney's Aladdin, I gave a 3 out of 5. So also a fun game. All right, let's go to the next one. Next game I beat in February was The Mummy Remastered, or is it demastered on the Nintendo Switch. I put some of the likes, music. Oh yeah, this music was really good. Thing I took notes because I beat these games so long ago I don't remember everything. But I do remember the music, really digging the music, especially the music that plays like in the when you're in like the main menu, or like you're in the I think it's the main menu music. That music's really cool. 16-bit style graphics. It's fun boss battles. Yeah, they have like these really cool boss battles. I think one of them's like a beetle, like a giant beetle, and you're jumping on these gears. The final boss, I know it's like has like different forms. Like you first fight the mummy, like a tiny mummy, and then becomes this big ass creature. Fun weapons, and I put it in parentheses, the Ghostbusters gun. Yeah, so this was another game that was pretty difficult. I had a difficult time getting through it, but then at the end you're able to get like this kind of like it looks like it shoots out like the proton plasma. It's like I call it the Ghostbusters gun. But when you get that, man, you're obliterating everything. Like nothing stands a chance against you. So it kind of did make it a little like easier to get through. Maybe a little too easy, but yeah, it was fun. I didn't even give this game any dislikes. One thing I did notice, and after I beat it, I saw my friend OmegaAce playing through Super Metroid on the Super Nintendo, and I was like, you know what, this Mummy Demastered game looks a lot like this Metroid game. Like I think this Mummy Demastered game got a lot of influence, was very influenced by Super Metroid game. So yeah, and maybe kind of think maybe one day I'll play a Metroid game. I've never played through a Metroid game, so I dug the Mummy Demastered. Who knows? Maybe I would dig Super Metroid. Alright, yeah, I beat that one in February. Next game I beat was Akai, or Ikai. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. On the PS5. It's kind of like a horror movie. Kind of had a little bit of grudge vibes, spooky game. Um, I tend to just buy exclusives for the PS5. Most of my multi what do you call it, like cross-platform games, or games that were distributed to all systems, I tend to buy those on the Xbox. PS5, I have the PS5 because I want to play the Spider-Man games, I want to play God of War games, and they also seem to get a lot of like these kind of like cheaper, obscure horror games physical, where the Xbox typically doesn't for some reason. So yeah, played through this one. Yeah, I did it. I wrote like 1 like for this game. I put some good spooky moments. Yeah, so it had like some jump scares that like kind of made me jump. That's all I wrote for the like. Dislikes: doesn't tell you what to do. Confusing puzzles that don't make sense. Wonky controls. Poor graphics. Yeah, it was not a fun experience. It was kind of one of those where, man, I really was hoping this would be like like a fun, spooky game. Even if it wasn't, I wasn't expecting to play Resident Evil 4 or, I don't know, even like Dead Space. I was just hoping for a fun experience, and it didn't even give me that. It was just kind of boring, and it was kind of a drag. I gave this one a rating of 1 out of 5. I would not recommend this game at all. I think I sold it like right after I beat it. Like, get this garbage out of here. Get this out of here. I don't want to play this game. I don't even want this game in my damn house. Get it out of here. Next game I beat was Retromania Wrestling on my Series X. This is kind of like a, I guess technically these guys could call it a sequel to WrestleFest, WWF WrestleFest. Retromania Wrestling is, what is it, like 30 years separated from WrestleFest, but they somehow got the blessing, I think, from Technos or something, to call themselves the sequel to WrestleFest. Yeah, really fun game. I do remember playing this game, like, I think maybe really early. It was either really early in 2023 or late 2022, and kind of not liking it. And I think I didn't like it because it wasn't exactly like WrestleFest, which, if you guys know me, I love WrestleFest. Like, WrestleFest is probably my favorite arcade for sure arcade wrestling game. Maybe my favorite arcade game of all time. Favorite wrestling game, probably also. But I kind of didn't give Retromania a shot at first because I was like, it doesn't play exactly like WrestleFest. But then this past year I was like, no, I gotta play it. Like, let me give it a fair shot. Let me go through the story. I think I wound up going through like most of the modes. I think there's like I should have written these down. Did I write them down? So yeah, I wrote more game modes than WrestleFest. I think there's like a 10 pounds of gold, kind of like a journey where you're just trying to win the 10 pounds of gold, like the NWA title. Then there's like a story mode. Yeah. Now it's coming back to me. My brain is kicking in now. There's like a story mode where you're following the career of, is it Johnny Retro? Which Johnny Retro, I don't know. I might be saying that wrong, but Johnny Retro is John Morrison or Johnny Nitro or Johnny Lucha, or I don't know all these nicknames he had. But he's John Morrison. So the game, you kind of play through him and go through his career, go through the story. I think I did. I might have done 2 or 3 modes. I just remember those 2. But I try to like play as much of the modes as I could. Retro graphics I put as a like. I mean, it looks exactly like WrestleFest, even though it doesn't play exactly like WrestleFest. It looks exactly like WrestleFest. It actually has more moves. So that's something that I kind of appreciated once I started getting into the game. That, okay, it's not WrestleFest, It has a little bit of tweaks here and there with stuff you can do, like moves. You can whip the wrestlers to like pretty much to any corner. Um, has a little bit more mechanics, but I once you get the hang of the controls, it's a fun game, man. It is a really fun game. Um, so I had a fun time with it. I changed my mind on it. I even now sometimes I'm like, man, I kind of want to go back and just play a few exhibition matches, or when my friend the Billster comes over or someone else comes over, like, hey, let's play Retromania for a little bit. Yeah, so I dug it. The only dislike I put, roster is lackluster. Yeah, so I mean that was the only thing where, when I play WrestleFest, a lot of nostalgia, right? Nostalgia's a hell of a drug. You have guys like Hulk Hogan on there, Ultimate Warrior, the Demolition, you have the Big Boss Man, Sergeant Slaughter, all these guys that are legends, Hall of Famers. It's nostalgic as it can get. With this one, with the exception of a few wrestlers, I kind of didn't really care to play with a lot of these guys. I mean, I've heard of some of these guys. I think there's a indie wrestler called Horrors. I mean, I know who Colt Cabana is. I think he's in there. They have They have a legend, Austin Idol, which I know nothing about. So I didn't have any like really nostalgic ties to that guy. I mean, that's it. I mean, the only ones that I was like, oh, cool, they got these guys. They got the Hawk and Animal, the Road Warriors. And I also really like that they got Matt Cardona. I'm a big fan of Matt Cardona, what he's done after WWE. So I did play a lot, mostly with like the Road Warriors and Matt Cardona. I think I did the 10 pounds of gold mode with Hawk from the Road Warriors. So I gave this game a rating of 3.5 out of 5. So fun time, super fun time with this one. Another swig of light beer for the gamers out there. Alright, next game. I beat this game in March. I beat this on Legendary on the Series X co-op Legendary. That was Halo 3 off of the Master Chief Collection. I beat this with my buddy Francisco, Killer Rules. Shout out to Killer Rules. You know what? We played through all the Master Chief games, all the Halo games. They're mixing in my head now. But I put as likes fun co-op, tight controls. It's old school Halo. It's not too long. That's the thing about me. I don't like super long games. Don't stretch games out just for the sake of making them a 25 hour game. I'm fine with 10 to 15 hours. I'm fine with 6-7 hours. That's fine as long as it's fun. I hate when games like add like all this filler and you're like, why am I doing this shit? Get rid of the filler. Just give me a fun experience, even if it's a short one. Yeah, so not too long. The only dislike I put, it's not Halo 2. So I think in playing all of the Master Chief Collection, I have the most nostalgia for Part 1 and Part 2. And then going back through this collection, I realized that I think Part 2 is now my favorite. For the longest it was Part 1, but I think now it's Part 2. So, I mean, this game is really good. I gave it a 4 out of 5, so I dug it. I don't remember the plot. As it is, I have a self-diagnosed ADD. I have a hard time following stories. I don't remember which one. I don't exactly remember the story of this one as it is when I'm playing. I'm not even listening to the story. I just want to shoot. I just want to shoot grunts, lob plasma, sticky plasmas, and have a fun time. Which 4 out of 5. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I had a fun time. Next game I beat was in March. Def Jam Fight for New York. I beat this one on my PlayStation 3. I played this off of the PS2 disc. I have a backwards compatible PS3, so it's kind of cool. I haven't turned it on since then, I think, so I hope my PS3 backwards compatible PS3 still works. Some of the likes I put, story mode is robust, and I used a big word right there. satisfying combat, funny dialogue, awesome finishing moves. Yeah, so this game is super over the top. You play as like all these rappers, like you can play as Snoop Dogg, Exhibit. I'm not a big rap guy, but I remember some of the guys in there. You can play as, I think it's Warren G in there. I'm not even sure. Sean Paul. Um, the mode that I played was the story mode, where you create your own wrestler and kind of go through the story. You go up the ranks, and you're able to level up your guy, like get him more powerful, faster, get him more well rounded. You can buy moves like crazy finishers, and yeah, this game was fun. I had a lot of fun playing this one. I didn't grow up playing this game, so it was one of those games that I always wanted to play, but I don't know why I just never played it back in the day. Maybe because I'm not a big rap guy, I just kind of ignored it. But I always heard, oh, this is like essentially this is like those Aki THQ games from the 64, which I love. I love those wrestling games. So I think one day I just bought the game. Like I think Game Tower out here in LA had it. It's 150. It was expensive, but I was like, you know what? I gotta play this game. Let me buy it. And what I did do, as soon as I beat it, I sold it. So it was kind of like I put a deposit. Like I rented it. Very, very large fee to rent it, but I rented it and then I sold it when I beat it. But yeah, it was really fun. It was freaking hard though. I remember getting to some parts and getting really frustrated, especially with that cheap ass Snoop Dogg at the end. That guy was like pissing me off. So Snoop Dogg's the final boss. But I felt, I felt very accomplished once I beat it. Dislike, I suck at counters. So I guess my dislike was that I wasn't as good as I should have been. So now that I remember, so there's a button to counter, or button combination to counter strikes, and then there's a button combination to counter grapples. And I think the one that I struggled in was the grapples. I had a hard time reversing grapples. So a lot of time I was getting my ass kicked by freaking the guy from Public Enemy or some scrub, because I just wasn't good at countering stuff. I gave this a 4 out of 5. So yeah, really fun game. I was wondering, like, am I gonna regret that I sold it as soon as I beat it? But at this point now, and then I also heard my buddy Tylord telling me that I should play the much cheaper. I think it's the one that came out before this, Def Jam Vendetta. He says that I would like that one because it's actually a wrestling game. So I'm gonna keep my eye out for that one. For the next game, I beat Barney's Hide and Go Seek on the Sega Genesis. I actually don't own this game, so I didn't beat it on my Mega SG. I actually played this off my RetroPie. And yeah, there couldn't be two games more opposite, right? Def Jam Fight for New York and Barney's Hide and Go Seek. I don't know. I think this was just one of those games. I think I just put it as a joke. Like I think back in the 90s, I always thought it was so funny that Barney had a video game. And I don't know. I was like, hey, let's check this game out. It's a game where you're Barney and you're looking for kids and giving them hugs.
Why don't you have a seat right over there, please?
It's the concept's a little weird, a little, maybe a game I shouldn't have been playing, but I think I wound up beating it like in 30 minutes, 20 minutes, if that. I mean, what a ripoff. Imagine you bought this game for your kid like back in the 90s and he beats it in 20 minutes. I put likes, makes me laugh, or made me laugh. So I mean, it gave me, it was worth, it gave me a few chuckles. It wasn't great. That's all you're doing is, I think your only move is you're like, mwah, mwah, mwah. You're like blowing kisses at like fish and plants and stuff and making them dance. Like it's pretty horrible, but I think it was so horrible and cringy it was making me laugh. Dislikes, I just put a question mark. I don't think I really hated it because I think I understood this game This game wasn't for me. It wasn't for me to play. I'm the dumbass here playing it. But I gave it a 1.5 out of 5. It was over in 20 minutes. So what am I complaining about? Next game I beat a Homefront on my Xbox 360. Some of my likes: explosions, doll physics, ragdoll physics, short. I love me some short games. I think this was probably around 6-7 hours long, around there. Dislikes: shooting was wonky compared to better shooters. Yeah, so that's something I do remember. Like, I'm playing these Halo games, which have, like I said in the Halo 3 review, they have tight controls, like tight gunplay. This one felt a little like, I wouldn't say it was horrible. It wasn't like playing GoldenEye now on the 64. No disrespect to the GoldenEye fans out there, but it just didn't feel like, you can feel the difference in playing a Halo game and then you come and play Homefront for the Xbox 360. Not as tight. So from what I understood, like I said, I'm not a great like listener, or when I'm playing a game, I just want to blow shit up. I don't care about the story. But I think it's something about like the US. There's like some civil war or some shit, and you're like in a part of this group that's trying to rebel or something. But I don't know, or something with Russia. Who the hell knows? It was something. You're like in some rebellion group. Um, but I mean, it was fine. It was fine. I didn't love it. It was also like a game that I bought off a recommendation. I don't know if you guys ever do that, but I felt kind of cool that I actually played a game that someone recommended. I was at a game store and Game Tower, and they were like, the cashier there was like, "Oh, you should play Homefront. It's pretty fun." And I think he was explaining the story to me, and my brain wandered off. But anyway, I bought it because I think it was like $5, and it was fun. I gave it a 3 out of 5. Wasn't the best, but it wasn't horrible. It was fine. It was a fine experience. Another swig for the gamers out there. Swig for short games that don't add a bunch of filler. Right, Tigger? We don't need those long games. Next game I beat was Halo Reach on the Series X. This was in June. All I put for likes: tight gameplay. Dislikes: feels like a downgrade, not as fun as previous Halos, just okay. I gave this a rating of a 2.75. Like I said, a lot of these games kind of blended in together for me. Like, as far as the multiplayer, as far as the single player, like, I know the difference between 1 and 2. But then 3, ODST, Reach, 4, the stories kind of blend into me. So for this one, I just think, man, I don't know, was I getting Halo fatigue? Because last year I had beaten 1 and 2. This year I had beaten 3, and then I went to Reach. So I don't know, was it fatigue? Because I know I've heard some people say that Halo Reach is the best Halo game, but I don't know what it was. I didn't have as much fun playing it, so I don't know. It might have been fatigue. Maybe it's just in my eyes it wasn't as good, but like I said, I don't remember. I don't remember anymore. This was 6 months ago. Next game I beat was Halo 3 ODST Surprise on the Series X. I beat this one pretty quick. I beat it like 3 weeks after Halo Reach. So for this one, I put, like I said, I don't remember. They're kind of mixing together now. But I put, it's fun, not too long. Obviously, we beat this, like, I think we were only playing this like once a week, maybe? Once a week. So we beat it pretty quickly. Fun, not too long, tight gameplay. Feels like it's a return to form. Okay, so I'll go off my notes. I had a good time playing this game. The only dislike I put was no dual wielding. Yeah, I've noticed that. Why did Halo get rid of the dual wielding? The dual wielding was so fun in part 1 and 2. But I guess this one didn't have dual wielding. I do kind of remember a little bit of this story because you're not Master Chief at this one. That's what I remember. You're not Master Chief. I think you're ODST. Like you're part of this group, right? I think if I remember, this is like the part of the prequel or something. Who the hell knows? Next game I beat, I think it was in July. I didn't put the month, but I beat Natsume Championship Wrestling for the Super Nintendo. I don't have a Super Nintendo, so I beat this one off my Switch. It was in the Super Nintendo collection. This is one of those games I was always kind of jealous that the Super Nintendo had and the Sega Genesis didn't have, because I just had a Sega Genesis. So I played through, I think there's like a championship mode or something where you fight like all the wrestlers. But I counted it. I live streamed it. I live streamed all these games, but I counted it because I asked, I think Omega and somebody else was in there, Tylord maybe in the chat, and I was like, hey, there's credits rolling after I beat all these wrestlers. This counts as a game I beat, right? And I think they said, yeah, that counts. That counts. There's credits. So I counted it. Likes, Fire Pro style gameplay. Yeah, so very similar to the Fire Pro wrestling style. And for those of you that are familiar with that Fire Pro wrestling style. What the hell did I can't even know. My writing looks like a Hebrew. I can't even read this. 16-bit wrestling. Oh, I put best 16-bit wrestling game? Oh man, that's pretty high praise. I don't know. I guess I put that on there like, is this the best one? It's really fun. It's a lot. It's more of a simulation versus the LJN ones from the 16-bit era, like Royal Rumble, Super WrestleMania, Raw. This one is a lot more, has a lot more moves, has a lot more things you can do, like counters. It's a lot more intricate than the LJN 16-bit ones. Dislikes. No licensed wrestlers. Japan, and the reason I put that, because Japan did get the licensed wrestlers, because I've played on my Retro Pi, my Raspberry Pi, the Japanese version of this game, and I think it's called, is it New Japan or All Japan Wrestling? And it has Giant Baba, it has the Patriot, it has Johnny Ace, it has Doug Furnace and Philip LaFawn. Like, sure, it doesn't have Hulk Hogan, it doesn't have Bret Hart, it doesn't have Ric Flair, but at least these are guys I recognize as a wrestling fan. The one Natsume, the American version, just has like a guy named Viper, a guy named Python, a guy that looks like Dick Murdoch, but his name's not Dick Murdoch. So I was like, man, we got kind of screwed. We didn't get the Japanese version. We should have just got the Japanese version, or I don't know. They should have licensed it with a smaller fed here, like Smoky Mountain, or this should have been WCW's game. They should have been like, they should have used WCW, got the license for WCW, but nonetheless, still a fun game, still one that I can go back to at any time and have a good time. I gave this one a 4 out of 5. Next game I beat, as my dog Tigger, I think he wants to leave. He's getting kind of tired of me talking about these games. Next game I beat was in August. I beat Ninja Baseball Batman on my Raspberry Pi. Some of the likes I put: great graphics, fun gameplay. Did I say gameplay? Fun gameplay. Different. Hey, not that there's anything wrong with that. Different characters, plays. They all play differently. Satisfying strikes. This is one that I had heard about, but I had never ever played Ninja Baseball Batman. I always thought it was like a game that had like Batman in it for some reason. So you're essentially this character, like a baseball player that has a bat. You can pick, like I said, different characters, and they all have like different abilities. Like some one of them's like stronger, one of them's kind of average, one's faster but not as strong. And you're fighting like baseball enemies. So there's like a a boss you fight that he's just made out of baseballs. You're fighting like, I think you're fighting like umpires. It's really, really like out there, really out of the box. But I had a really fun time playing this, and like I said, I've heard of this game, kind of just people talking about it, but I've never played it. So I believe it might have been like Omega Ace might have recommended it while I was streaming. I think I just said, hey, anybody have any suggestions, or maybe Moz and Power, and they're like, hey, play Ninja Baseball Batman, and yeah, I had a lot of fun. I didn't even put any dislikes. I gave this one a 3.75 out of 5. One that I would definitely want to go back and play with like some buddies, you know, like kind of introduce the game to them, like kind of it was introduced to me via live stream. Next game I beat was Halo 4 on the Xbox Series X. A lot of Halo talk here. Maybe I should have worn a Halo shirt. Um, like I said, don't remember all the story. I put likes, fun, tight gameplay. A lot of talk about tight here. A lot of talk about tight. Riding mechs. Yeah, you ride mechs in this one, and you can shoot down like the spacecrafts, like other ships in the air. Um, New fun weapons like the detonator. Oh yeah, I remember. I remember that. There's like a gun where you like shoot, kind of like a a sticky bomb, but then you can detonate it with the trigger. Yeah, fun. That was really fun weapon. Dislikes. Where is the dual wielding at? I wanted my dual wielding back. They didn't bring it back. Yeah, I gave this one a 4 out of 5. It was fun, man. Fun game. I don't know. Was this the last? I think this concluded us going through the Master Chief Collection. Francisco, my buddy, and I. We started last year. Went through Halo 1, 2, 3, ODST, Reach, ODST, and 4. So we played the whole collection. And I remember when my friend Francisco, because he's like, hey, let's play through the collection. Oh, and by the way, we beat this one on Legendary too. We beat all of them on Legendary and co-op. Um, he told me, hey, let's play through all the Halos. I was like, I don't want to do that shit. Like, sometimes I feel like when I beat games, I'm kind of done. Like, I beat them, and then I move on. Then I move on to another game. I did not want to go back and, I mean, let alone beat one game, but beat, how many games was that? Like 5 or 6 games? I don't want to do that. I want to play new stuff, but let me tell you, shout out to Francisco if you're watching it. It was fun. I'm happy we went back and played that. A lot of nostalgia and just a lot of fun co-op gameplay. Like it was just fun. It was just fun. Especially now, like in this year, being able to do it on live streams. You know. Yeah. So that's it for that one. Next game I beat was Among the Sleep on the Series X. A lot of Series X, and later on in the video, I'm gonna break down what consoles I beat games for. Yeah, Among the Sleep. I played this one for another Omega Ace Gaming challenge. He hit 1K subscribers in around October. So he did a challenge where you needed to beat a horror game to be entered into his drawing, where he was giving like away $100 gift cards and some extras. So I had always wanted to play Among the Sleep, so I'm like, oh, let me play Among the Sleep, and I knew it wasn't a super long game, so I played it. I had a fun time with it. It's very creative. Oh, hugging your teddy bear. Why don't more games have something like this? Why can't I hug a teddy bear in Gears of War or Halo? Kind of like Barney, you know. But instead of hugging the little kids, hugging a teddy bear. Because hugging a little kid's that's not yours, it's creepy. Hugging a teddy bear. The game was short, deep, strong. What the hell did I write here? Deep story. Okay, can't even read my own writing. Kid can't even read. Deep story. Being drunk. Oh, okay. Yes. So it has a deep story. I don't want to give away. I don't know why I wrote the ending, but it has a deep story. If you haven't played it and you're into kind of like very creative, out of the box games, or you're into spooky games, this is a spooky game. Play this one. It won't take too much of your time. This was a fun one. I really liked it. Um, I dislikes none. I didn't have any complaints. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Like I said, you're playing as a little baby with your teddy bear, and you're kind of like in this nightmare world. It's called Among the Sleep. You're kind of like in this nightmare world as a little baby with your bear, but a lot of fun, really fun game. Funny enough, this game didn't qualify for the Omega Ace Challenge because it didn't have a final boss, but I'm still glad I got to play this one. The next game I beat was Night Slashers on my Nintendo Switch. I had never played this one either. I had never played this beat 'em up game. I feel like I've missed out on a lot of obscure fun beat 'em ups. I had never played Night Slashers. I beat this one because Among the Sleep didn't count as it didn't qualify in the Omega Ace Challenge because it didn't have a final boss. I knew all beat 'em ups have a final boss, so I played through this one. Had a lot of fun, man. You're fighting zombies, you're fighting like Dracula, you're fighting Frankenstein, you fight a mummy, and it's really like over the top. Like with one of the characters, you can literally DDT like Dracula or Frankenstein. Has a little bit of pro wrestling influence in there. So yeah, I had a great time with this. Let's see some of the likes I wrote. It's fun, horror theme beat 'em up, which I love horror stuff. So horror theme beat 'em up, wrestling moves. Like I said, you can hit someone with a DDT. Man, you can DDT Dracula. Come on, what else do you need? Dislikes. Played it alone. Yeah, so beat 'em ups. I kind of don't like playing beat 'em ups by myself. I feel like I only like to play beat 'em ups like with someone else. Like if they're more fun with a friend. So that was the only thing. I kind of was like playing it in a rush to qualify for the Omega Ace Challenge, but I rather play a game like this, a beat 'em up, with a friend. But hey, I still have it on the Switch. I can always go back and play with someone, one of my buddies. I gave this a 3.75 out of 5. Next game I beat was Splatterhouse 3, and yes, I did play it on the Mega SG using my cartridge. Beat this one in November. Yeah, just like Splatterhouse 2, I always thought this game was super cool. This one I have more memories for when I was a teenager. This one I remember trying to play more when I was a teenager, but only being able to get to like the second or third stage, because like I said, these games are hard. So I might have played this, beat it in like 4 playthroughs, like just trying to get through it and kind of learning like how the bosses fight you. The cool thing with these games, it has like a password system, and you get limitless continue, so you just keep trying to beat the stage. The hard part is you have to go, once you die, you go to the beginning of the stage. You got to get from the beginning all the way through the boss with, I think you have like 3 lives maybe, and it's pretty like unrelenting. It's pretty hard. I had asked when I started playing this Dyer from Dyer and Betty, the Dyer and Betty YouTube channel. Shout out to him. He was in my live stream, and I asked him, hey, is this game easier or harder than Splatterhouse 2? I was thinking this one was going to be easier because I thought Splatterhouse 2 was so hard. I was like, there's no way Splatterhouse 3 is going to be harder. And in the chat, he's like, no. This one, Splatterhouse 3, is a lot harder. So I was like, god damn. But got through it, man. I got through it. Some of the likes I put, graphics, freaking awesome graphics, 16-bit graphics, better graphics than part 2. Satisfying beat 'em up gameplay. So part 2 is kind of like kind of feels more like of an arcade game. It has a little bit of platforming. You have to do like some precise jumps and stuff. This one doesn't have that. This one's just like a straight. It's like a straight beat the clock beat 'em up. That's one of the annoying things, beating the clock thing. But it's a beat 'em up. It's so satisfying to like start jabbing that big fat dude with the big mouth, or there's these like chicken monsters that slide. Like it's so satisfying to like just beat them up, grab them, like freak them. Like you can like when you're like in beast mode, you can like pick them up like in a choke. You can do like a freaking superplex, a standing superplex. So just super like satisfying gameplay. Great sound effects. Has to go with the satisfying gameplay. You're punching, you're hearing those effects. Boom, boom, boom. You're hearing like when you're pummeling an enemy. Dislikes, I just put pretty unforgiving, which I mean it's just hard. It's just hard as hell. It's unforgiving, and the timer. Oh man, the timer's annoying. But I always thought you couldn't beat the game if you didn't do it in time. So that's why I would never really try back in the day. But no, there's different endings. You get different endings depending on if you kill the boss, clear the stage on time, or you don't. So I don't know I don't know, maybe in a few years I'll go back and see if I can clear through it. I feel like it's one of these games where when you're kind of locked in and playing it regularly, it's probably your best chance to get like a good run. But I kind of don't. I'm good. I beat it. This game was super hard. I'm good for now. Maybe in a few years I'll revisit it and try to do a cleaner run. But yeah, I gave this a 4 out of 5. This game was pissing me off like no other. Maybe like how Cuphead used to piss me off, but had fun with it. And now that's why I'm wearing this shirt right here, Splatterhouse. Because now after I beat part 3, I'm like, hey, I've beaten all the Splatterhouse games. I beat the, what's it called, Paku Graffiti? I never know how to pronounce that one. The one that was like a Japanese import. I beat Splatterhouse, the one that's on the Turbo Graphics. I beat that on the Nintendo Switch. I beat this one. This shirt was made for Splatterhouse on the PS3 on the 360. It was actually the first game I streamed last year. I beat this on the 360 last year, and I've beaten 2 and 3, so I feel great. I've beaten all the Splatterhouse games. Next game I beat Perfect Dark, also in November. Beat this co-op on Series X off the Rare Replay with my buddy Killer Rules Francisco. Yeah, I think we beat this pretty quickly. It looks like we beat it like in 2 weeks. Like I said, we only play like once a week for maybe 2-3 hours, and we beat it in 2 playthroughs. Some of the likes, GoldenEye vibes. It's made by the same company that made GoldenEye Rare. It kind of gave me nostalgia for GoldenEye. I remember really digging GoldenEye. It's funny. Yeah, there's like this character that you like. I think you're trying, like I said, I'm not great with stories, but you save this alien called Elvis, and you're trying to like kind of protect them and get him. He's like, and then he's kind of like your sidekick. He's helping you out. That was pretty funny. The alien's name was Elvis. There's also like some Easter eggs in one of the stages. There's a lot of characters dressed as Super Mario, which was kind of like a little Easter egg. Online co-op. I'm a big fan of online games, online co-op games. I've been playing games with my friend Francisco, beating games online probably for like 15 years now, give or take a year or 2, but I love co-op games. So I like that. Always more fun with friends. Dislikes, aiming sucks. Boy, does it ever. The aiming sucks. It kind of has like this auto lock-on thing, which at first I was like, oh, this is really cool. But then there's moments in the game, like there's like a certain boss battle where you're supposed to hit certain things on the enemy, and that auto lock-on doesn't help. It doesn't really like help you out because it's always trying to lock onto like specific things. So yeah, it was kind of like, it kind of felt like one of those things that didn't age well. Like that mechanic didn't age well, it made it feel feel dated because of that. I gave this one a 2 out of 5. Like maybe if I could have seen, I could see like if I played this back in the day, this would have blown me away. Like, oh man, this is the best shooter ever. But playing it now, after playing all the Halos, after playing all the shooters I've played, the Call of Duties, I'm sorry, I know a lot of people love this game, but it feels dated. It doesn't hold up. The shooting doesn't hold up. All right, we're at our last 2 games. In December, I beat 2 games. I beat, first of all, TMNT 3, the Manhattan Project on the Series X, off the Cowabunga collection. I didn't even know that you could play some of the NES ones. Actually, this is only an NES game. You can play online co-op. My friend Francisco, Killer Rules, he's like, hey, let's play TMNT 3, the Manhattan Project. And I was like, we can do that? He's like, yeah, it has online co-op. So we played through it. I think we might have played it 2 or 3 weeks. We got waxed, I think, the first week. Second week we got better, and then the third week, shout out to it. I don't know if he's watching this, but Mazen Power, YouTuber Mazen Power, was actually, I think after the second week we kind of were just gonna not touch it anymore. We were done with it. We were like, this shit's too hard. We're not gonna beat this. And we used like codes in that second week. And Mazen Power, I was watching his stream. He was playing TMNT 3, and he's like, hey, he calls me Tiburcio, I think you guys can beat this game. You guys should try it again. I think you guys got it. And I was like, fuck. So then I messaged Francisco and I'm like, hey, let's give it another go. Let's give it another shot. And so the third week, we even try to use the damn like code, like the code to get like the 7 lives, but neither of us could do the damn Konami code. So we were just like, F it, let's just play it and see what happens. And we wound up beating it. Like, I think we only had used 1 continue. We got all the way to the end, and we beat it. I died at the end, but you know, we still had another continue, so you know, whatever. We still would have beat it if we had to use another continue. But man, yeah, this game's fun. This might be my favorite NES Turtles game. I remember really loving part 2, but I really like that this one has like everyone has their super ability. I love like that you can fight like Slash, you can fight Toka, Razor, Krang. You fight like a bunch of like enemies, and I feel like the graphics are a little bit better in this one than part 2. But who knows? Maybe one day I'll play part 2 on the Cowabunga collection, and maybe I'll change my mind. Maybe part 2 is better. You know, my buddy Tyler says part 2, he thinks part 2 is better for the NES. But yeah, I gave that one 4 out of 5 likes. Online co-op, lots of fun bosses, great music. Yeah, the music's really fun. Fun moveset, challenging, but it's fair. Like, it's beatable. Like I said, we sucked the first week. Second week we got better. Third week we beat it, and we only used 1 continue. This likes very little pizza. They don't really give you pizza, but hey, it's still beatable. It's one of those games you just have to learn. You have to learn the bosses. Yeah, 4 out of 5. Last but not least, the only game I beat outside of my game room here, I beat Super Double Dragon. I had to go up to Sacramento to beat this game with my buddy Tylord, the Professor Tylord Stevenson. Yeah, we beat this one. So I went up to Sacramento in December the 16th and the 17th. They had the SAC Gamers Expo. So I drove up to meet up with Tylord, Omega Ace, and then our buddy Yasuke, Retro Gamer Yasuke joined us. We met up with Vinny Knit Zero and Mr. Matthews, and but that Friday night before the expo, Tyler and I each got a room in the same hotel, and I was, hey, let's play some games or something. So went to his room, you know, lit the candles, dimmed the lights, and we played some Super Double Dragon. I had never played Double Dragon, but I had been watching Tylord play this on his streams and thinking like, hey, this game looks pretty fun. And I always thought this game looked kind of crappy because it didn't look like the original Double Dragon sprite, so I never gave this game a shot. But in seeing him playing through streams, I was like, you know what, this game looks kind of fun. So when we met up in Set Gamers Expo, I was like, hey, let's play Super Double Dragon. Let's play it together. And I think we died maybe the first run through, and then I was, hey, let's play it again. And I got a little bit better. He fucking carried my ass. He carried my ass into the game, but I was kind of staying out of the way. I was kind of doing my part, and I had a lot of fun playing this game. Like I said, I love playing beat 'em ups co-op, like with a friend, and a lot of fun, a lot of good times. Some of the likes I put, we beat this on the Switch, by the way. Likes, fun co-op, beat 'em up. Combat is fun, and the moves are more in depth than previous Double Dragon. So yeah, this one you can like counter like a punch, and you grab the guy's arm and you start backhanding his face. It's more like intuitive. Like you can do more stuff than the regular Double Dragon games. Power moves. Oh yeah, you can like build up like this power meter, and you do the duck duck do get like from Street Fighter and wipe out everybody. And it's pretty fair. Yeah, I didn't think this game was super cheap. It's pretty fair. You just have to learn the controls. I still didn't get a hang of like the counters. It was hard to like time that. But I feel like the more you play it, you could probably get good at that stuff. Dislikes? I didn't put any dislikes. I had a fun time with this one. Gave this one a 4 out of 5. Alright, so that's the end of the video. I kind of wanted to... I think I've done this the last 2 years. I've given the game that I liked the most. So I guess my game of the year that I played. And if I gotta choose one, damn, I guess I should have been prepared for this. What was my game of the year? Let me look through my list really quick. So if I really had to give it to someone, even though I don't remember the story, I think I might have to give it to Halo 4. Halo 4 out of these games I played, because I do remember that was the last one we played. I remember really liking 3. It's pretty close between those two. I would also say TMNT 3 was a contender. Splatterhouse 3, even though that shit drove me nuts, but I think Halo 4, man, I think that game was the most fun. Just destruction. You can ride a freaking mech like from Aliens. You're have all these like fun weapons. Like I said, that detonator gun was so fun to use on those the hunters. You can wipe out the hunters with those. And like I said, I love playing beat 'em up. I love playing co-op games, so really fun to play that one. I gotta give it to Halo 4 for my game of the year that I played. And now for the worst game of the year, I don't even gotta think about this one. It's gotta be Akai for the PS5. That was the only game that I played that it just felt like a complete waste of time. I just was like, oh man, when is this game gonna end? This game's annoying, the puzzles are bad, graphics are bad. It just was not good. It was a waste of time. But it's kind of one of those things where like sometimes you have to eat at a shitty restaurant just to know you not to go back there. So I had to play this game and realize, yeah, I never got to play this game again. Get it out of here. Ikai, whatever the hell this is called. Worst game I played this year. Waste of time. I would not recommend that one. Now I wanted to do a breakdown on my piece of paper. So I beat 20 games. 20 games. I think that's the most games I've beaten. At least in the last 3 years that I've been doing these games I beat videos. I think the first year I only beat 8 games because I was really busy. I was going to school at that time, grad school, working full time, and I think I was doing an internship, so I somehow got only 8. Last year I think I was closer to 20, but I think it was 15, around 15 games. This year I beat 20, so it was kind of nice to hit that 20th game with my buddy Ty Lord up in Sacramento. One of the things I always want to do is beat, or at least try to beat, one game per console that I own. So I own Switch, Series X, PS5, my Mega SG that plays Sega Genesis. I own a 360, backwards compatible PS3, N64, OG Xbox. I think that's it. Oh, and a PS Vita. PS Vita. So I beat three Mega SG games. I beat four Nintendo Switch games. I beat one PS5 game. That's got to get better. This console's too expensive to only beat one game. I am currently playing Spider-Man 2, so that'll make my 2024 list. Having a lot of fun with that. I'm already gonna say it. It's probably gonna be the game of the year for 2024. And on the Series X, I beat eight freaking games. Eight games. Um, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. The Series X, it's it's my preferred console. Maybe I'm a fanboy. I probably am an Xbox fanboy, but I try to show love to all the consoles. I used to be one of those guys that was like, Sega's the best, Nintendo sucks, and then Xbox the best. Screw PlayStation, screw the GameCube. But now that I'm older, I'm like, why do that? You're only um, like taking away fun experiences from yourself if you're trashing. Like I understand, like if you can only afford to buy one or two. Like okay, that's different. Like you only buy those because that's all you're willing to spend or that's all you can afford. But if you can buy, if you're luckily able to buy like multiple systems, why would you just be like, oh, I'm not gonna buy that because it's Xbox and Xbox sucks, or it's Switch, Nintendo sucks, PlayStation, I hate PlayStation, Sony ponies. You're only taking away like the experience of playing fun games when you do that. You realize that, right? So I try to spread the love, but yeah, the Xbox is my favorite. It's my favorite kid. And it's like the system where, like I said, my friend Francisco, I brought him up a lot of times. Francisco plays, and we're always playing co-op games. Now my friend Billy, the Billster's on there, so yeah, even more reason to play the Xbox. So I beat 8 games. That was the console that got the most games. I beat one game on the PS3. That was Def Jam Vendetta. Like I said, that's a backwards compatible one. So I count. I'm just saying per console. I'm trying to beat one game per console. That one plays 3 eras of PlayStation, so that PS2 game counts. On my Raspberry Pi, my Retro Pi, I beat 2 games. That was, I believe, Ninja, Baseball, Batman, and Barney's Hide and Go Seek. On the 360, I only beat 1. So there were 3 systems. I didn't meet my goal of beating 1 game per system. I didn't beat a game for the OG Xbox. I didn't beat a game for the Nintendo 64, and I didn't beat a game for my very neglected PS Vita. I'm still a fan of that Vita. But I did try. So at least I'll give myself that. I tried to beat a game at least for the OG Xbox on the Nintendo 64. On the OG Xbox, I really tried to get through NBA Street Volume 2. I got so frustrated. I love that game, but I think I need someone to play it with. It's just the computer's fucking cheap, man. Like, they're cheap. I got maybe 30%, 40%, and I just could not beat some of the teams. I just got frustrated. So I gave it a shot. I tried to play through it. I couldn't. I tapped out. I moved on to another console. Nintendo 64, I was playing a Japanese import, Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. That one I'm loving, but it was taking forever to go through like the career mode, and guess what? Spider-Man 2 came out. So I put it down. I'm like, everything needs to stop. I need to play Spider-Man 2. I'm playing through it right now. I think once I'm done with Spider-Man 2, I'm going to go back to the Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 for the 64. So hopefully next year I'll have an N64 game beaten. And my very neglected Vita. I have neglected my handhelds. Well, I only have 2. I have the Switch, but it's more of a hybrid. I play that on my TV mostly, and the Vita. I really neglected my Vita. My goal for this year is beat at least one game, 2 hopefully 2 games for my PS Vita because I love the Vita. Um, yeah, and I see that some people they beat a lot more games than me, right? Like, but I also played a lot of multiplayer games, so I think that takes away sometimes from being able to play through games. But we still gotta talk. Why don't we ever talk about games we just play multiplayer? Like, I played a lot. So I do a community game night on Thursdays for those of you watching. If you ever want to join in, or other YouTubers or other people, whoever wants to jump in, we'll play community games that we can all play together. So, I played a lot of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Shout out to Wubs. A lot of Texas Chainsaw Massacre during fall. I played a hell of a lot of Mario Kart for those community game nights with my other buddies, Carla, the Billster, Omega, Retro Ryan, bunch of people, Fall Guys, Mazen even jumped in there. Fall Guys is a fun one. Fortnite became like the hot thing in the last couple months with, including Spoot, Jim Maxey, Paste, and the crew, Carla carrying the White Knights, and Disney Speedstorm. I think those games, we were playing community game nights, I think once a week at least for the last 4 months. So gotta give a shout out to those games too. Even though they're not games you beat, they're games you're kind of putting a lot of time into. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. And just kind of like, I know this video is going super long, but I just kind of wanted to reflect on the last year in gaming. I feel like this year was a lot more fun than last year because I started doing YouTube in 2022, but it was very sporadic because I was moving at the same time too, so I kind of took like a long break. But I started in 2022, and like I said, I was streaming to, I've said this in past videos, I was streaming to nobody, to 0 people, playing alone. There was no community game nights because I didn't have a community to play with. So this year was really cool. It started off with me meeting OmegaAce. Shout out to OmegaAce. Met him, I think, around 2022 in December. I met him, and he kind of like brought me in and was like, "Hey, man, you can come hang out with us. You can come hang out with the Retro Ryans, the Carlas, the Mazens, the Quesadillas, with all these guys." And yeah, I'm very thankful for OmegaAce because now I feel like this year was like so fun to play with like all these other like-minded gamers, and I feel like every month that passes I get to like see other people, like meet other people that I was like, oh, I didn't know about this guy. Like, oh, I didn't know about Legend of Leo. I didn't know about Majora T or Spencer from Button Mappers. So it's been really cool to like get to meet all these people and continue to meet like new people to even just comment on each other's videos. I want to also shout out some people that did games I beat videos, like Linda the Gamer Gal does one every month. Check her out. I put a link to her video. Legend of Leo, I just watched his, really cool dude. Majora T, and I think Ty Lord should be coming up soon. Hopefully, I want to check his out, but I'll put links. If Tyler's video is not up, go check out Tyler. I'll put a link to his channel. I'm gonna put a link to OmegaAce because I feel like I owe OmegaAce a lot for kind of bringing me in and letting me hang out in his community and letting me bring my little crew in, right? The Billster, my childhood friend Billy and Francisco Killer Rules, and we've kind of ingrained into the community. So that's been really cool to bring my friends and my friends that I've been playing with since I was 11. We've been gaming since we were 11. Bring them in, and now we're all a part of this community. So yeah, that's all I gotta say. I'm looking forward to another fun year, 2024. Let's have even more fun than we did in 2023. Let's have more community game nights. I want to do a little bit more variety because I feel like we've been kind of stuck in Mario Kart, Fortnite, Fall Guys, Mario Kart, Fall Guys, Fortnite. So maybe sprinkle in some other games in there. But that's it, guys. That's my year in gaming. Games I beat in 2023. Thanks for watching. If you've stayed this long, may God have mercy on your soul. We're out of here. See you later.